everyone, Elizabeth here. The Last Laugh delivers stories that leave you speechless. If you're here for it, hit subscribe and let's go.
The envelope arrived on a Tuesday. Cream-colored, expensive cardstock. My parents' 35th anniversary celebration. I knew what it would say before I opened it. Family only. You've made your choices. My phone buzzed immediately. Dad's text. Your sister's partner is an attorney. Brandon's family will be there. This is important for our reputation. I stared at the message for a long moment, then typed back, understood. No argument. No plea to be included. Just acknowledgement. My sister Rachel called within the hour. Mom's really stressed about the guest list. You know how it is. Brandon's parents are very traditional. Having you there would just complicate things. It's fine, Rachel. You're not upset? Why would I be upset? She paused. I don't know. I just thought, never mind. It's probably for the best anyway. You'd be bored. It's all Dad's business partners and our family friends. Makes sense, I said calmly. Well, I'll send you pictures. She wouldn't. We both knew that. The comparison started when I was 12 and Rachel was 10. She made honor roll. I made honor roll too, but somehow hers mattered more. She joined debate team. I joined robotics club. Hers was prestigious. Mine was quirky. By high school the narrative was set. Rachel was going to Yale for pre-law. I was interested in computers and business stuff. Dad's words said with a dismissive wave. Emily's always been a bit unconventional, Mom would explain to relatives. Code 4, disappointing. Rachel graduated summa cum laude. I graduated valedictorian from a state school nobody had heard of. Her graduation got a party with 200 guests. Mine got a dinner at Olive Garden. We already spent so much on Rachel's, Mom explained. And you understand, her achievement was more significant. I understood perfectly. Rachel went to Columbia Law. I started working remotely for a tech company. She got an apartment in Manhattan that Dad co-signed for. I got a studio I paid for myself. When are you going to do something real with your life? Dad asked during one of our increasingly rare phone calls. Rachel's on partnership track. You're just typing on a computer. I like what I do. It's not serious work, Emily. It's not building anything. I didn't argue. There was no point. What he didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I'd been building something for 7 years. Something significant. Something that would change everything. It started small. I was 22 working as a junior developer at a fintech startup. I saw inefficiencies everywhere. In payment processing, in small business lending, in financial data analytics. I started building solutions. First, a payment optimization tool I sold to 3 local businesses. Then a lending risk assessment algorithm that a regional bank licensed. Then a complete financial management platform for mid-sized companies. By 25, I had incorporated Carter Financial Technologies. By 27, we'd secured our first major client, a Fortune 500 company paying $2.3 million annually for our services. By 29, we had 47 enterprise clients and had acquired 2 smaller competitors. I never told my family. Why would I? They'd made it clear that nothing I did would ever measure up to Rachel's legal career. They'd probably just find some way to diminish it. Oh, Emily has some little internet business. You know how those things are, here today, gone tomorrow. Besides, I'd learned something valuable from being overlooked for so long. People underestimating you is a strategic advantage. Kept my lifestyle modest. Same studio apartment. Same 10-year-old Honda. Same simple wardrobe. At family dinners, back when I was still invited, I'd let them talk about Rachel's cases, Rachel's partnership prospects, Rachel's attorney boyfriend Brandon. And what about you, Emily? An aunt would occasionally ask out of politeness. Still doing the tech thing, I'd say with a smile. Pays the bills. Dad would change the subject quickly as if embarrassed. What they didn't know, Carter Financial Technologies had just been valued at $890 million in our Series D funding round. We were on track to break $1 billion by year-end. What they really didn't know, I'd been quietly acquiring equity positions in struggling companies for the past 3 years. Including a controlling silent partnership in Dad's commercial real estate development firm, which I'd been funding through a labyrinth of investment vehicles to keep my identity hidden. Dad thought his mysterious Apex Capital Partners investor was some faceless institutional fund. He had no idea Apex's sole principal was his disappointing daughter. I'd provided $340 million in credit facilities to keep his business afloat during the commercial real estate downturn. Without that capital, he would have lost everything 18 months ago. But I stayed silent. I watched. I waited. The anniversary party was the last straw, though I didn't show it. 3 weeks before the event, Mom called. "Emily, we need to talk about the anniversary party." "Okay." Rachel thinks, and we agree, that it might be better if you didn't attend. Silence on my end. "It's nothing personal. It's just that Brandon's family will be there, and you know how important this relationship is for Rachel's future. His father is a senior partner at one of the most prestigious firms in the state. Brandon's on the partner track himself." "I understand." "You do." He sounded surprised. She'd probably expected me to fight. "Of course. It's your celebration. You should have whoever you want there." "Well, good. I'm glad you're being mature about this. You've always been so sensitive." I almost laughed. I hadn't been sensitive in years. I'd been strategic. "One more thing," Mom continued. "We're going to tell people you couldn't make it because of work. Sounds better than, well, you understand." "Sure, Mom." "You're not upset?" "Why would I be upset?" After we hung up, I sat in my office, the real one in the corner suite of our downtown headquarters, and made a decision. I'd been patient for 7 years. I'd let them exclude me, diminish me, erase me from the family narrative while I quietly built an empire they couldn't imagine. But there's a difference between strategic patience and letting people walk all over you forever. It was time for the truth to come out. Not because I needed their validation, I'd stopped needing that years ago, but because they needed to understand exactly who they'd been dismissing all these years. I called my CFO Marcus Chin. "Remember that credit facility we extended to Anderson Development? Your father's company?" "Of course. I want to invoke the early termination clause. Full repayment, 30-day notice. And Marcus? I want it delivered in person. At my parents' anniversary party." There was a pause. "Are you sure about this, Emily?" "Completely sure. This will essentially force them into immediate restructuring. Possibly bankruptcy if they can't secure replacement funding quickly." "I'm aware. Send David Turner from First National. He's been their relationship manager. He should deliver the news personally." "Understood. I'll make the arrangements." The Riverside Country Club. Of course. Dad always chose venues that screamed old money and traditional success. The kind of place where Rachel fit perfectly and I never did. I wasn't planning to attend. I'd made my peace with exclusion. But 3 days before the party, I received a different invitation, from David Turner at First National Bank. "Miss Carter, given the sensitive nature of this matter and your relationship to the borrower, I thought it appropriate to extend you the courtesy of attending the event where I'll be delivering the notice. Your presence is not required, but as the principal of Apex Capital Partners, you have every right to be there when your investment decisions are communicated." I smiled when I read it. David was a thorough professional. He understood exactly what this was really about. "I'll be there. But I'll arrive separately. They don't know about my involvement yet." The night of the party I dressed carefully. Not the designer gown Rachel would wear. I wasn't trying to compete on her terms. Just a simple black cocktail dress, elegant but understated. The same style I wore to board meetings. I arrived at 7:45 p.m., 15 minutes after the official start time. Late enough that everyone would be there. Early enough that dinner hadn't been served. The valet looked at my Honda with barely concealed disdain. "Are you attending the Anderson celebration?" "I am." He glanced at his list. "I don't see your name." "I'm family. Emily Carter. Check with the hosts." He radioed inside. A long pause. Then, "They say, they weren't expecting you." "I'm sure they weren't. But I'm here." He reluctantly took my keys. The ballroom was exactly what I'd expected. Crystal chandeliers. String quartet. 200 guests in formal wear. Dad in his best tuxedo playing the successful businessman. Mom in a gown that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent, playing the gracious society wife. And Rachel stunning in an emerald dress, Brandon at her side looking every inch the future legal powerhouse. I walked in quietly. Nobody noticed at first. I took a glass of champagne from a passing waiter and stood near the back, observing. Dad was holding court with a group of his business partners, laughing about some golf game. Mom was introducing Rachel and Brandon to someone important, probably Brandon's senior partners. Then Rachel saw me. Her face went white. She grabbed Brandon's arm and whispered something. He looked over, confused. Rachel made a beeline toward me, Mom close behind. Emily. Rachel's smile was rigid. What are you doing here? Hello, Rachel. You both look lovely. You weren't invited, Mom hissed quietly. We specifically said. I know what you said. I decided to come anyway. This is inappropriate, Rachel said. Brandon's family is here. We told you. I'm aware. Your partner is an attorney. His parents are important. This celebration is about maintaining appearances. I sipped my champagne calmly. Don't worry. I'm not here to cause a scene. Then why are you here? Mom demanded. I have business to attend to. Business? What business could you possibly? Mom stopped mid-sentence, distracted by something behind me. Dad had noticed me. His face darkened. He excused himself from his conversation and strode over, Brandon's father following. Emily. His voice was cold. You need to leave. Now. Hello, Dad. Happy anniversary. I'm serious. You're not welcome here. You received the invitation. I received the exclusion. Yes. But I have just as much right to be here as anyone. You have no right. This is a private event. For family. I thought I wasn't family anymore. You made your choices. Isn't that what the invitation said? Rachel grabbed my arm. Emily, please. You're embarrassing yourself. Just go. I gently removed her hand. I'm not embarrassed, Rachel. I'm not embarrassed at all. Brandon stepped forward, using his lawyer voice. Ms. Carter, as your family has indicated they don't wish for you to be here, you are now trespassing at a private event. I strongly suggest you leave voluntarily before we're forced to involve security. I looked at him. This man my sister was going to marry, who'd never even met me before tonight but was already threatening me with legal action to impress his future in-laws. Noted, counselor. Dad turned to the club manager who'd appeared at the commotion. Please escort my daughter out. The manager looked uncomfortable. Mr. Anderson, perhaps we could. That's when David Turner walked in. David Turner was exactly what you'd expect from a senior bank president. Distinguished, perfectly tailored suit, the kind of presence that commanded attention. He walked directly to our group, ignoring the stares from other guests. Mr. Anderson. Mrs. Anderson. He nodded politely. Then he turned to me. Miss Carter. Thank you for being here. Dad's face shifted to confusion. David? What are you doing here? This is a family celebration, not a business. I'm afraid it is business, Mr. Anderson. Quite urgent business. David opened his briefcase and removed a formal document. I'm here on behalf of First National Bank and your primary credit facility provider, Apex Capital Partners. The blood drained from Dad's face. What? Our payment schedule is current. Yes, but Apex has decided to invoke the early termination clause in your credit agreement. This letter formally notifies you of the full recall of the $340 million credit facility. Full repayment is required within 30 days, as stipulated in Section 7.3 of your agreement. What? Dad grabbed the letter. This is insane. We can't possibly. Why would they do this? We've been perfect clients. You'll need to discuss that with Apex's principal. David glanced at me. Dad didn't notice. He was scanning the document frantically. This will destroy us. We have $280 million deployed in active projects. We can't liquidate in 30 days. I need to call them. I need to speak with whoever runs Apex. You're speaking to her, David said calmly. Everyone froze. What? Dad looked up from the letter. Apex Capital Partners is a single-member LLC. The sole principal and decision-maker is standing right here. David gestured to me. Miss Emily Carter. The silence was absolute. Dad stared at me. That's not, you can't. I can, I said quietly. I've been your silent partner for 3 years, Dad. Every dollar that saved your business during the commercial real estate crash came from me. Every bridge loan, every credit extension, every emergency capital injection. That was me. Mom actually swayed. Rachel caught her arm. That's impossible, Rachel whispered. You do something with computers. I'm the founder and CEO of Carter Financial Technologies. We're valued at $890 million as of our last funding round. I have equity positions in 17 companies. Apex Capital Partners is my private investment vehicle for distressed asset acquisition and corporate restructuring. Dad's firm is one of 12 companies in my portfolio. Brandon's father spoke for the first time. Carter Financial Technologies? You're E.M. Carter. Emily Marie Carter. Yes. We've been trying to recruit you for our corporate clients for 2 years. You're listed in Forbes 30 Under 30. You were featured in Fortune last quarter. Brandon pulled out his phone, typing frantically. His face went pale. Oh my God. She's telling the truth. Emily Carter, founder and CEO. There are pictures. Articles. She spoke at FinTech Summit last year. She's worth. He stopped, staring at his phone. What? Rachel grabbed it. Her hands started shaking. David filled the silence. Ms. Carter's personal net worth is estimated at $470 million. Her company is projected to exceed $1 billion valuation within 6 months. Mom sat down heavily in a nearby chair. Dad was still holding the termination letter. Why? His voice cracked. If you had this kind of money, this kind of success, why didn't you tell us? I looked at him, really looked at him. This man who'd dismissed every achievement, every effort, every part of who I was for my entire life. When would I have told you, Dad? At Rachel's graduation party, when you explained mine wasn't significant enough to celebrate. At Christmas, when you introduced me to your friends as our other daughter, she does something with computers. At Thanksgiving, when Mom explained I was unconventional to justify why I wasn't married to an attorney. Emily, Mom started. Or maybe I should have told you when you uninvited me from tonight. When the invitation said I wasn't family anymore. When you decided that including me would complicate your image. Rachel was crying. We didn't know. If we'd known. You would have what, Rachel? Treated me differently? Valued me more? That's exactly the problem. You only care now because you know what I'm worth. 3 hours ago, I was still the disappointing sister who wasn't good enough to attend your family celebration. I turned to David. The termination notice stands. 30 days full repayment. If Anderson Development can't meet the obligation, we'll move to structured liquidation as outlined in the credit agreement. Understood, Ms. Carter. Dad found his voice. Emily, please. We can discuss this. We're family. You can't just. Family only, Dad. You've made your choices. I quoted his own words back to him. Those were your exact words on the invitation. I didn't mean. You meant exactly what you said. You've always meant it. I just finally decided to believe you. Brandon's father stepped forward. Ms. Carter, I apologize for my son's behavior earlier. He didn't understand the situation. I hope. There's nothing to apologize for, Mr. Shaw. He was defending his future family. I understand completely. I looked at Brandon and Rachel. Congratulations on your engagement, by the way. I'm sure you'll be very happy together. Rachel sobbed. Emily, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. We didn't know. That's the thing, Rachel. You shouldn't have needed to know. If I was worth including in your life, worth treating with basic respect, worth acknowledging as family, that shouldn't have depended on my bank account. I left before dinner was served. David walked me out. That was professionally satisfying, he said quietly. In 30 years of banking, I've never seen anything quite like that. Is that approval or criticism? Observation. Though between you and me, they deserved it. My phone started ringing before I reached my car. I declined the call. The mom. Declined. Declined. A text from Rachel. Please. Can we talk? I'm so sorry. We all are. Please don't do this. I turned off my phone. The next morning my office phone rang. My assistant, Emily, your father is here. He doesn't have an appointment, but he says it's urgent. Tell him to schedule through proper channels. I'm happy to discuss the credit facility termination with his legal representation present. He's crying, Emily. In the lobby. I closed my eyes. I'm not available. 3 hours later, Rachel appeared. My assistant tried to stop her, but she pushed into my office. Emily, please. You have to listen to me. I don't have to do anything, Rachel. Dad's business will collapse. He'll lose everything. Our family will lose everything. Your family, I corrected. You made it clear I'm not part of it. That's not what we meant. It's exactly what you meant. For my entire life you've all treated me like I was less than. Not good enough. Not successful enough. Not worth celebrating or including or acknowledging. And now that you know what I've actually accomplished, suddenly I'm family again. We made a mistake. You made a choice. Multiple choices. For years. This isn't about one-party invitation, Rachel. This is about a lifetime of being dismissed and diminished and erased. She sank into a chair. What do you want? An apology? We're sorry. We're all so sorry. I don't want an apology. I wanted a family that valued me before they knew my net worth. But I don't get to have that. So instead I get to make my own choices. The way you all did. So this is revenge? This is business. Dad signed a credit agreement with specific terms. I'm enforcing those terms. If he'd borrowed from any other institutional investor, they'd do exactly the same thing if it suited their portfolio strategy. But you're not any other investor. You're his daughter. Am I? Because the invitation said otherwise. Rachel left crying. Anderson Development couldn't secure replacement funding. The commercial real estate market was still too unstable, and Dad's debt ratios were too high for traditional banks after I withdrew my support. They restructured. Sold off their premier properties. Dad's partners bought him out at a fraction of what his stake had been worth. He went from running a $500 million development firm to working as a consultant for his former company. Mom had to sell their house and downsize to a condo. Rachel's wedding was postponed. Brandon's family quietly suggested waiting until the family situation stabilized. Code 4. Until the scandal of Dad's business collapse died down. My phone calls and texts from them eventually stopped. 6 months after the anniversary party I received one final message from Mom. I understand if you never want to speak to us again. I understand we failed you as parents, as a family. But I need you to know, I'm proud of you. I always should have been. I'm sorry it took losing everything to see what we had right in front of us. You don't owe us anything. But if you ever want a relationship, we're here. We'll wait. We love you. I'm sorry it took me this long to say it. I read it 3 times. Then I filed it away. Maybe someday I'd respond. Maybe someday we'd rebuild something. But it would be on my terms when I was ready, if I was ever ready. For now, I had a company to run, an empire to build, and a life that was entirely, finally mine. The disappointing daughter had disappeared. E.M. Carter, CEO, had taken her place. And she didn't need anyone's approval but her own.